Welcome to the Happiness Matters podcast, where we'll explore happiness at work and show you how to coach yourself to be happier there and more successful too, no matter what.
Welcome to our first Pay It Forward episode. It's a brief continuation from our last episode on World Smile Day and the concept of smile a while. I'm Julia Seal. I'm your host on the Happiness-Matters podcast and the founder coach of Happiness-Matters.coach. Last week, we wrapped up our Insight series on smiling with the World Smile Day episode. I hope you had fun. I hope you drank coffee, took photos of yourself with smileys, and had a bit of Mad Hatter fun. We're just about to go into our next Insight episodes about unhappiness and how it's showing up for you at work and what to do about it. But before we do this, I want to stop a moment. Today we're doing two things that I hope will help you on your self-coaching before we get started on why unhappy is the story of happy. Having been inspired by last week's World Smile Day, International Coffee Day, and Mad Hatters Day, we're going to look more into Pay It Forward and how you can use it every day to enhance your happiness and success at work. And in addition, we're going to answer all your questions about podcasting and access to everything about us at Happiness-Matters.coach. Podcasting is such a new thing to many of us that we want to take today's session to support you in getting the most out of this global phenomenon. Of course, if you want to work with me directly, you can book your online coaching session on our website, Happiness-Matters.coach. I'm available for once-off Wednesday coaching sessions, where you need only book one session with me and we can coach on anything that's getting in the way of your happiness and success. Let's get started with more about podcasting and how to subscribe to us at Happiness Matters. So, you're listening to a podcast right now, so you've obviously heard of a podcast, but are you getting the most out of them? Are you part of the exciting podcast trend that's taking the world by storm? If not, here are some quick tips on how to best use podcasting and have some fun. So first of all, what is a podcast? It's actually an audio program just like a radio show, but it's available on the internet for you to download and listen to at your convenience while you're driving to work, at gym, even washing the dishes. There are many kinds of podcast shows, from news to comedy, and of course there's this podcast, Happiness Matters, that's listed as careers and self-development. Now, podcasts first appeared quite a while back. They came on the scene as far back as 2004 and onto the computers of Apple users in 2005. By 2008, only 9% of internet users in the United States had ever downloaded a podcast. And by 2012, only 29% of North Americans had listened to one podcast episode. So the idea of podcasting and the word podcast has been around for over 10 years, but their popularity is very recent, really only in the last 2 or 3 years. In 2019, trend watchers are saying that about 70% of people in the United States are now familiar with the term podcasting, and 51% have listened to one episode. Regular podcast listeners average about 6 hours a week listening to podcasts, and there are now episodes in more than 100 languages. I'm looking at an interesting podcast infographic about the growth of podcasting that I'll link to in the show notes for you. And remember, you can find all the links for the show notes for this episode and every one to date on our website, Happiness-Matters.coach, when you click on the menu Podcast. So how do podcasts work? Once set up on your computer or smartphone, these audio files will stream directly to you. So your favorite podcast shows will come directly to you without you needing to go back and find them on the internet every time you want to listen to a new one. And I'll explain exactly how to set this up. How do you actually listen to a podcast? Well, it's very easy. You can do it on your computer or even better on your smartphone or tablet. You really just need an internet connection, Wi-Fi or data, to set this up and then connect to the podcast show like this one, Happiness-Matters. Once you've downloaded an episode of the show, then you can listen to it offline at any time, as many times as you like. So you can listen to me in an endless loop. How much fun is that? And the best part of all of this, it's free. All this interesting, up-to-date information is available to you whenever you want and wherever you want. As I'm recording this, I'm wondering just where you'll be when you're listening to it. It's so fun. I typically listen to podcasts when I'm running, walking the dogs, doing the laundry, or if I want to take notes from the podcast on a Saturday morning with a cup of coffee. What makes podcasting so unique and so powerful for you is that you can subscribe to a podcast show of your choosing and then get automatic updates delivered directly to you. So by subscribing to Happiness-Matters, it means you'll automatically get every new episode that we release. So every Tuesday will arrive on your phone with some happy and successful self-coaching ideas. Now, how do I actually subscribe to Happiness-Matters? Here we go with 5 easy steps to set up podcasting from scratch and then subscribe to the Happiness-Matters podcast so you won't miss an episode. The first step is to work out what device you're listening on: your computer, a tablet, or iPad, or on your phone. If you want to listen on a PC or Mac computer, the most efficient way is to download the Apple iTunes desktop app and install it on your computer. You can then search for Happiness Matters and choose the subscribe button. Or you can find our podcasts actually on our website, Happiness-Matters.coach. Another easy alternative from your computer is to find us on YouTube and subscribe to us there, especially if you use YouTube regularly. So from within YouTube, just search for Happiness-Matters and then click subscribe to our channel. Now what's even easier is to listen from your smartphone, whether it is an iPhone or an Android. Currently, phones are the number 1 device worldwide for listening to podcasts. So on an Apple iPhone, go to the purple Apple Podcasts app, which is pre-installed on new phones, and again, just type Happiness-Matters or Julia Seal into the search bar, find us and choose the subscribe button. If you're on an Android phone, you'll first need to install a podcast player app from the Google Play Store. Some of the best ones are Stitcher and Spotify, or Castbox and Podbean, and they're all free. So once you've installed the podcast player, again, just search for Happiness-Matters and choose the subscribe or follow button. And that's how you get yourself set up. What's key is to search for us as Happiness-Matters or anything similar. So Happiness-Matters.coach, the Happiness Matters podcast, Happiness Matters Julia Seal, or even Happy and Successful at Work. And then, of course, to choose the subscribe button so you don't have to search for us every time you want to listen. And then you'll get our Tuesday episodes delivered to your smartphone or computer automatically, all for free. And of course, learning to coach yourself to happiness and success step by step, week by week. Last week, we discussed the concept of pay it forward and how you could pay forward World Smile Day, International Coffee Day, and Mad Hatters Day in order to do an act of kindness and help one person smile. Today, I want to look into paying it forward in terms of what you're learning here on the Happiness Matters podcast. In honor of last week's Smile Day, to do an act of kindness and help one person smile. Help one person learn how to coach themselves to happiness and success. To repeat last week's definition of pay it forward, it's an expression for describing the beneficiary of a good deed repaying it to others instead of the original benefactor. It's like the opposite of payback, When someone does a good deed for you, instead of paying them back, pay it forward by doing a good deed for someone else. The concept has been around since ancient Greece, but it was most famously used by North American author Lily Hardy Hammond, where she wrote, "You don't pay love back, you pay it forward." The 2000 movie Pay It Forward is based on a book written in 1999 by author Catherine Ryan Hyde. She was inspired by a pay it forward experience of her own. Her car caught fire in an unsafe neighborhood, and two complete strangers came to her help and left before she could even say thank you. In the movie, a social studies teacher gives an assignment to his class to think of an idea to change the world for the better and put it into action. Then it follows the story of one child's launch of a goodwill movement known as Pay It Forward, where one good deed received is repaid by 3 good deeds to others. Based on this, Oprah Winfrey started a Pay It Forward project in 2006 with this 1-to-3 ratio of good deeds, kicking it off by giving the 300 studio listeners $1,000 each to give to others in random acts of kindness. So cool. I've created a link for you in our show notes, which you can have a look at. A related topic to Pay It Forward, but specifically on social media, is that of sharing. So you know that little arrow that you see after someone's post on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn? This is the sharing button, and it's the online equivalent of paying it forward. What I'm asking you to do is to share our podcast with your friends and family. It would mean a lot for us to know that the reach of our weekly coaching gets to your loved ones and your work colleagues. So the more people you can share this with, the better. The more people worldwide who are learning the skills of how to coach themselves to happiness and success at work, the better. So please do share our podcast by clicking on the share button wherever you see it. You can share directly from your podcast player, and you can also share any of our social media posts, whether you find us on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, and share any post from Happiness-Matters.coach or me, Julia Seal. So what has Pay It Forward, sharing, and passing along the Happiness Matters podcast to your family, friends, and work colleagues got to do with your happiness and success at work? There's been a lot of research about the benefits of paying it forward, the benefits to you individually, the benefits to a social group, and of course the benefits to society as a whole. And I've picked some recent statistics about why people share online in particular. So why do we take the time to click the share button on a social media post? Overwhelmingly, it talks to our social nature. 94% of us share our social media posts because we want to better the lives of others. And 80% of us want to grow and nourish relationships. Knowing this, I encourage you to go out and try it for yourself. Go out and try the 1.3 ratio and see what happens to you in the moment. See what happens to how you feel about yourself and how you're feeling about the person you're sharing with. Just this simple activity. And then ask yourself these 3 coaching questions. How did paying it forward and sharing contribute to my happiness? Has it changed how I define, assess, and vision what I call happy and successful at work, no matter what? And after paying it forward, do I want to add anything or take away anything from my future vision and my future self journey, those plans? How do I want to update my self-coaching from Series 1 with these insights? There really is no better time to do this work together. Lastly, as a reminder, if you want to share today's instructions on podcasting, you can download the step-by-step guide from our website, Happiness-Matters.coach. I hope you enjoyed this short episode on Pay It Forward. And of course, I trust you'll pay this podcast forward to your friends, family, and colleagues. It's free. It's for anyone who works and who wants to be happier and more successful there. And that's just about all of us in the world. Thank you so much for hitting the share button on Happiness-Matters.coach. Next week, I'm really looking forward to the work we're going to start. We're kicking off our new insight topic to support your self-coaching in Series 1. We're now starting to take a good look into what's actually making you unhappy at work and how we can free ourselves. Bye for now, from a very early spring morning. It's still dark and the tiny crescent moon is waning over the mountains.
Thanks for joining us on this Happiness Matters podcast. Do join us again here next week on Tuesday. You can subscribe to this series at Apple Podcasts on iTunes, or you can sign up for it on our website, Happiness-Matters.coach. That's Happiness-Matters.coach. COACH. Also, you can join our conversation on Facebook by following us there. Our Facebook page is also Happiness-Matters.coach.